The vibrant LGBTQ plus community in San Antonio is another facet to our unique culture. This Pride Month, I sit down and talk with some leaders and influencers in our city who are staying true to themselves and living authentic lives. In this interview, I talk with Shelly Lares about her life as a celebrity in the Latin music industry, all while being a gay woman, the struggles she overcame, and her advice to those who are trying to find their way.
Shelly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Here. So one thing that I want to bring up is we've interviewed you before, and you had mentioned how, for our Selena special, and you had mentioned that as a woman, it was hard to break that ceiling in the Tejano music industry.
Yeah.
It was hard for y'all.
Right.
And then now you have this added layer where you came out and became part of the gay community. What was that like for you?
Well, I didn't really do that in the 90s. I think it would have been like virtually impossible for me.
Absolutely.
I think it would have been detrimental to my career had I'd really focused. But in fairness, I really didn't focus much on my relationships more than my career at the time. I didn't come out really to my family, openly to my parents, until 2005, which was really not that long ago, if you really think about it. So of course my parents just, and at the time I was going to be moving out of town with my then partner. And so the only reason I told my parents is because I wanted them to know why I was going to leave San Antonio. And they were like not upset that I was with a woman. They were upset that I was going to leave San Antonio.
They wanted to lure in town.
Yeah, but I went in, and telling my family, because growing up in a Hispanic household,
that's another layer.
That's another. So mind you, okay, so you have your family, you have your career, your reputation.
Well, for you, your career, the music,
right.
the Tejano music industry, which at the time probably wouldn't have been.
Oh, there was no, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
It was unheard of. Not only in our industry, I think in any industry.
Well, this is
maybe
true.
more pop. I think people kind of, the obvious ones people accepted and knew, even actors, if you think about it.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, my best friends who have been together for, almost like 30 something years, they love to go to the neighborhood. They like to go, and they always wanted me to go. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go because I'm going to be recognized, And there was a couple of times I did go because I was always working. I was always on the road, and I never really had downtime. And so one day I was like, okay, let's just go. And I remember being in the club and just being so paranoid. And I did get recognized. And I remember leaving that night thinking, oh man, what's going to happen? Of course, we didn't have social media then.
Yes.
So had we had social media, then I think it would have been all over the place. But I
heard that must have been.
It was. And I was always worried about what my parents would think. More than anyone else, I was worried about what my parents would feel. I don't know why I took it as a way of letting them down, which is the dumbest thing for me to have thought.
But when you're young and you're exploring, you do have thoughts like that.
Right.
But speaking of your mom, I wanted to say exactly a quote from you. When you won the 2025 San Antonio Women's Hall of Fame, you were inducted. You said, quote, "I'm grateful to have shared this moment with my beautiful wife and my mom, who has been my lifelong role model."
Yes, absolutely. To this day, my mother is my hero,
What was she like when you eventually told that?
Again, they took it better than what I thought, honestly. And then just like any other parent, they get to know your partner and they have their feelings about it. And, my parents are no sugarcoat,
Yes. That's where you get it from.
So, yeah. They're worse than me. Daddy was worse than me. Mama probably worse than me. Mama has that, we always have that, our face gives it away type vibe. And so it's weird because, after I had, a couple of partners that my family got to know after, in my relationships, I always felt like my parents really never, not that they didn't accept, they didn't want who I was with for me until Like my father passed in 2016, and then I met my wife. And now I, for a fact, know without a shadow of a doubt that my father would love my wife. My mother does. And, unfortunately, she didn't get to meet my dad and he didn't get to meet her. But there's a lot of similarities in the things that she does that is like, oh, man, that's so Fred Lottis right there. So it's weird. But when I did come out to them, like I said, they were just upset that I was leaving San Antonio. They weren't upset that I was in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
If they did, they didn't tell me. I'm sure they cried about it. I'm sure they did.
And you know what? Because I have to tell you, you and I have known each other for as long as our sisters.
I was a child. Yeah.
Our sisters were cheerleaders together at Holy Cross. And I remember your mom. Your mom, wonderful lady, but very strongly.
Right. So
that must have been.
Yeah.
Thinking about what she would think when you came out.
And my siblings, they too, they just wanted me to be happy.
And I think that's probably what it was. And I think what a lot of parents have, it's not so much that you are gay, it's more how the world is going to treat you.
And they were worried about my career. That I can tell you.
Yes.
They were worried about my career. And that's when things were shifting. Social media was coming out. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't until maybe like, I came back from West Texas. I left to West Texas because of my previous relationship in 2005. I came home in 2010. And at that time, my mother was handling my social media. She was doing my Facebook. And then 2011 came and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start taking over my social media, started posting about my career. And then maybe 2012 was the first time that I really just started. By then I was in another relationship. And I just started sharing my relationship on social media. I didn't have this, okay, fans, this is who I am.
Voila.
I didn't. I just started sharing photos and, I'm here and we went blah, blah, blah. And
what was the fans' reactions?
I can probably count on one hand the negative reactions I got out of all of the fans.
That's fantastic.
So none of them really were judgmental and none of them, they really wanted me to be happy too. I think they had never really seen the personal side of me. So I guess they kind of felt, wow, she's opening up to us. She's sharing her personal life with us. And, but there's a few. Of course, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to, everyone seems to have opinions about how you live your life. And I never really let that affect me at all. I still don't to this day, whether it's personal or business related,
Speaking of that, I have to say one thing that I saw on your website that I just absolutely love.
What's that?
It's you say on your website, one of the most important keys to happiness and success in life is to simply be yourself at all times.
Yes, for sure. And it took me a long time. And I was always that musically. Yeah. Okay. So as a creative, producer, writer of my music, I was always that, authentically myself. But, all of those years, when I was dating guys and stuff, and I was always putting my career first, because I worked so hard. I loved what I did. I loved it. And I wasn't going to allow anything to keep me from doing what I love, to keep me from doing my music. And, when you become an artist, your life isn't the same anymore. It's really not. You have two different personas. And it's very hard for you to navigate through that at times.
The onstage and personal.
Yeah. So it wasn't anything that I really honed in on. And, let's just face it. I mean, I guess the right person didn't come into my life for me to say, hey, I'm going to be me. So I think it was just all in the timing of things.
And that's perfect that you said that, because sometimes it takes the right person.
It does. No doubt.
That next level in your life.
And
next phase in your life.
I've never been the happiest I am at this moment. Never in my 53 years of my life have I ever been this happy. And my wife doesn't make me happy. My wife adds to my happiness.
Yes.
Okay.
Together.
Yes.
Well, okay. Tell me about your wife. Tell me about the wedding and everything.
My wife is Mia, And we've known each other throughout the years because, you know, the gay community is very small. So someone you know someone you know someone you know, or has dated someone you know and dated someone, you know.
Or San Antonio,
yeah, exactly.
as well.
Exactly. So we had a lot of mutual friends, you know, and we were friends on social media. So we would see each other's kind of stories and stuff like that. And it wasn't until maybe like 2018 that we really started talking more, and we just realized that we had this instant connection that was very effortless. I had never met someone that truly wanted to get to know me as a person. I was always in relationships where they wanted to be with me because of who I am and what I do.
Well, that you get that. So
yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, and I never had been with someone that, I'm a very giving person. It's my blessing and my curse, because I tend to put other people's feelings in front of mine. And, you know,
a lot of us in the community do that.
I think so too. And it was tough because my relationship prior to my wife, I was a stepmom. So, you know, I'd always wanted to have children, but I knew the type of mother that I would want to be, which is like my mom. That was every single event.
Like your mom, yes.
She was at everything for all of me, not only me, but my siblings. And I knew that if I had children, that my career was just going to take a back seat. Because to me, if you have a child,
you have to devote
that you devote your life to your child. That's what my parents did for me. So,
well, I think it's finding the perfect balance.
Right.
Yes, you know,
right.
career,
right.
relationship.
So that was
children.
the closest I came to having a child, you know, and we became very close. I mean, I raised her for 4 years, you know, and her teachers would call me, you know, for her grades in school, and I'd be the one to, you know, do homework with her, tell her to do her homework, all these kinds of things. But I was also in a relationship that was very toxic for me. I wasn't happy, but I stayed because of my stepdaughter. And for so long, and then by the fourth year, I just felt like, man, I cannot continue this. I can't do this to myself. Yeah. It was the hardest decision I ever had to make, was to walk away from that relationship, because it also included my stepdaughter. Correct. You know, even though when I first got into that relationship, I said, there's 3 relationships. There's mine and yours, there's yours and your daughters, and there's mine and your daughters, you know? And then there's the dad, you know? So there's 4 really. So after I left there and I put myself first, I really felt like that kind of opened up something in myself, a lot of self-love on a personal standpoint, because I loved myself and what I did. But personally, I just was like, Shelly, something's not right. You know, you're not valuing yourself enough to be with someone who is you're gonna reciprocate what's happening. So when I met Mia, that is like exactly what she did. And it was funny because we would be together and I'd want to do for her and she would be like, stop, like, let me do for you, you know, like, let me do things for you. And I was like, wow, you know,
because you've never had that.
I never had that. I never had it. And it was effortless. And I knew from the moment that I really spent time with her the first 2 times, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that was going to be the person I wanted to spend my life with. No shadow of a doubt at all. That's fantastic. And, you know, so we got married in January this year.
Guys,
and we've been together like 8 years. Yeah.
So y'all been together 8 years?
We've been about 8 years, yes. And we got married and it's been great. You know, we're very strong women. We're very independent women. Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
And together we're a power couple, if you will.
It.
But we respect each other's, you know, lives. And it's funny because women, you know, we're so emotional. We're so sensitive. We're so like, and I had never been, and you know, I feel like our gift is women's intuition. We have it, right?
Absolutely.
And I look back now in all of my relationships, I always had this like gut feeling, like when things were something, I knew something wasn't right, whether I felt like they were talking to someone, I just would feel this like nagging something in my pit of my stomach, and I would be like, "No, I'm just crazy right now."
9 times out of 10, it was accurate.
And I was never wrong, right? Yeah. Never wrong. But with Mia, I've never ever had that feeling. We don't hound each other. Like, I come here to my studio, I work. She's not calling me 20 times a day. I'm not calling her 20 times a day when she's at work. We have this trust, and it's just like, it's effortless. Like I said, we've never really had to work at our relationship, honestly. It's always been very effortless and wholehearted. And I have never met a person with such a beautiful soul. Like, she wakes up happy. She wakes up happy.
That's a good person.
She wakes up dancing, like just joking around and acting goofy. And it's like, we laugh all the time. We laugh all the time. Like, fantastic. We're always laughing. We're always having, we make light out of things when things are bad. And we talk it through, and we communicate very well. And she's very in tune to me emotionally. Whereas, because I do have introverted moments, believe it or not, I'm an introvert also.
We all have our own.
And when I have those moments, like, she knows, she doesn't, she'll ask me if I'm okay, what's going on, whatever, but she doesn't like probe, or type thing. So, the only thing is I look forward to, God, when we're all together again.
Yeah.
And my father, I get to see my dad again, and he gets to meet her in person, because, again, she's someone I know my father would have absolutely loved. And my family said it. My mom, my sister, my brother, they've been very vocal about,
it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Being very happy with her.
So, Shelly, what do you think the Latin music industry, especially Tejano music industry, is like today to the LGBTQ plus community? Are they more accepting, or do we still have a long road?
Oh, no, I think they're more accepting. I wouldn't say 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love my Tejano music community. We're starting to see a shift in the younger generation of really kind of supporting each other a lot more.
It takes the younger generation.
Yeah, to kind of do that. But then I still kind of see, whether it's, the old school mentality, or even in the new generation right now, where they're very judgmental still, and people just, for some reason, have no filter when it comes to just sharing negativity or negative thoughts or negative opinions, rather than, my Catholic school upbringing is, do unto others, and another thing at home, if you can't say anything nice, and don't say anything at all, type thing. I wish we would really go by that, but I do see it, because there have been a lot more openly gay Tejano artists that are coming out. Wow. And that are releasing music.
Yeah, that's great, because in the overall Latin music industry genre, there's a long list.
I released
Martin's one of the most famous.
I released my very first Pride anthem, like in 2023, and it's called Breakthrough, and I featured Eric Lee, who's a rising Tejano artist. His family is Los Desperados, and he came out and is making a name for himself, and so I had him. And I also featured an artist, a friend of mine from LA. Her name is Squishy, who's also openly gay. And so we did our Pride anthem, and my final year on the road, I had this family come up to me in West Texas, and it was a mom and a dad and their young daughter. She was probably like 14, and the father comes to me and he's crying, and he hugs me and he's like, "I just want to thank you, because you have been an amazing role model for my daughter. She came out to us." And and she just, she loves who you are as a person, and she loves your music. And we raised her on your music, and their parents raised them on my music. And they're like 3 generations of Shelly Lares fans. And but for it's moments like that, or when the youth reach out to me through social media, they'll DM me. I don't know what to do. I'm openly gay, but I want to, do you think I can do this? Will people judge me? And we have quite a few and really talented artists in Tejano music right now that are openly gay.
So, little steps sometimes.
Yeah, little steps. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about loving people. That's really what it is, and you can't,
living your authentic self.
Living your authentic self, which is not always easy.
No, it's not. But it's easy for us to say.
Right.
But
right. And I think it's human nature.
Get there.
Yeah, I think it's human nature. We want that empathy, and we want that compassion, It is who we are as human beings. It's those are things that we should all have. Unfortunately, some don't, but then again, you think about those people who have those comments, maybe for whatever reason, they didn't have that growing up, so we also need to be compassionate to them, even when they have a negative.
That's fantastic, because I would have never thought of it that way.
You know what I'm saying? So we can't
because
expect it if we're not able to give it as well, so.
That's wonderful, Shelly. Yeah, you're right. I never, someone has something negative to say, have compassion for them, because they probably, don't understand.
Right.
They were never grew up around it.
Right.
And thusly, they don't understand, or they can't empathize, and you have to,
Yeah.
do you want to others?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Which is, well, you have some involvement in this year's project.
Yeah, we're super excited. First of all, I have 2 artists that I mentor and produce and I guess help manage sometimes. Rev Ray is going to be performing at Pride at Crockett, and Jenny B. She's going to close out Pride.
Those are your 2 artists.
They're 2 artists that I mentor and work with
Are they
in
on
the
your
industry.
label, Shell Shock?
Yes, they're in association with Shell Shock. Rev Ray is. Jenny B. I've mentored, and Jenny B. is someone that I help book, and like I said, I've gotten her a few shows. She's an amazing artist as well. She has dancers and everything. Great artist.
What's your involvement in Pride?
So I'm going to be performing on the Human Rights Campaign, the HRC float.
Oh, great!
Thanks to my friend Michael, who invited me, and my wife. No, Michael Rendon.
Oh,
from
Michael,
HRC.
I'm sorry.
HRC. Oh, but Michael will be there, I'm sure. But actually, he is the one that recommended me getting my artist in. So Michael Quintanilla did play a role in this.
Yeah, I love Michael.
And Rev and Jenny B are allies. They're allies. Both of my artists are allies. So yeah, I'm going to be performing because I'm so grateful to HRC and all of the work that they do. I'm repping their hat today, actually. They do so much for our community. And I was very honored to have received the Legacy Award from the Human Rights Campaign a couple of years ago. So, I mean, they're a group of people who really mean something to me. They speak for us and they speak on our behalf and for themselves. So yeah, they wanted me to just be on the float, honestly. And I was like, Michael, come on now. We gotta have music on that float.
Hey, man.
He's like, you're going to sing on it? I'm like, yeah. So
why not?
Yeah. So I'll be singing on the HRC float this year.
That's fantastic. And so getting back to your being inducted into 2025 San Antonio Women's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
As a gay woman, I think that is fantastic.
Yeah, me too. Because I mean, if you really look at the list of women throughout the years that have been on, not inducted, it's like, oh man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And but yeah, to be on with Judge Rosie too. Judge Rosie and I were both inducted, together, awesome. And her too being, openly gay woman. So yeah, I mean, it was just a huge honor, and it's a big embrace from my city, who I have represented for 40 years all over the world. I represented my city, our culture, our music, and I think San Antonio has really come a long way, and I think we continue to grow in a positive way, and I think we're shifting in a positive way, and we're definitely now on so many levels becoming a city of love and a city of acceptance and support. And I have to really acknowledge our mayor, to Ron Nirenberg, for really setting that standard. And now, with Gina Ortiz Jones, it's just, and for those that may not agree with our lifestyle, we're in it to be a community. It's not that we're wanting to make everyone gay, it's like, I mean, that's not how it works. It's not that way.
Yeah.
But it's just about just being about human
else.
beings and loving each other and supporting the fact that we're from the 210 and we all love the same music. We all love the same food. We all breathe the same air in the 210. So, I mean, it's like, it's just being really developing this community.
So what would be, you kind of said it throughout this interview, but what would be your advice to any person, young, old, who are having difficulty navigating, who are gay,
right?
But they're just having difficulty navigating life because whether it be the negativity or the stereotypes or what have you, because you're just naturally a strong woman, and I could see how you navigated it maybe a lot easier than other people. But what would be your advice to those people?
I would have to say, always, like we talked about, be your authentic self.
Yeah,
we're given one life. We're given one life, right? And we cannot allow another person who has their life to tell you what to do, how to love, who to love, right? And as long as we're doing things with beautiful intentions and not maliciously, not to hurt other people, but to love and live your life. And then find a community that support you, because sometimes your family doesn't. Yeah. That's why the gay community is so tight-knit, because unfortunately parents, grandparents, excuse me, primos, primas, tias, tia, whatever, they don't support what you do or how you feel, right? Who you love. So, find your community. Find people to uplift you, right? And don't be afraid, because how do you know what the outcome is? I was deathly afraid to tell my parents. I was deathly afraid. But I did go in, but you do have to do this. I would recommend this. When I was walking into my mom and dad's house that day to tell them, I had to allow them as well to respond however they were going to respond. I can't tell them, no, you got to feel this way, because it works both ways, right?
Absolutely.
So I had to allow them to, whatever it was they were going to say to me, I had to allow them to process however they were going to process it, Give them that. But at least, right. But at least it was there and I was being honest about it, right? And it's not that you're doing it for validation. It's just, I think, because we love our family so much and it's a respect level, I think. But it just goes both ways. The respect of allowing you to be happy and to love who you want to love, And so I
want their love too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And those of you that are out there and maybe, your child has come out to you, just really give it some thought. We've only have this one life, and your child needs you. Yeah. No matter what, your child's going to need you. And I would think that when you lay down your head at night, you would think, okay, at least I'm here helping my child navigate through whatever my child needs to navigate through. Whereas, can you imagine your child just being somewhere else that you don't know with, you don't know who, I would feel as a parent, I would want to be that support for my child, just like my parents have been for me. So I think that's it. Those are the most important things I feel as far as coming out.
Beautiful, Shelly. Couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And always a pleasure.
Yes.
Love being here with you, Shelly.
I love having y'all in my Show Shock studios all the time. Y'all might as well just have a room.
I know, right? Let's move in.
Let's bring K-Sat and have a room.
Thank you, Shelly, so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Pride.